everyone, this is Deborah at Craft Project Whiplash, and I thought I would give a little process video on how I put my stamps in my stamp rack and how I store them. So I'm just going to do a step-by-step, and I'll speed some of it up so it won't be quite so long of a video. Okay, so first thing I want to show you is my laminator that I use. It's just a very inexpensive Scotch laminator. It's the cheapest one they make. I think it's like $20. My favorite plastic laminating project to use is the 5mm laminating sheets. Unfortunately, I don't have any 5mm right now. All I have is the 10mm, but I have a ton of this because I buy it on Amazon. And now this is the legal size, so it's a little longer. I'm using this mostly for stamps and storage. There's so many things that you can use this for. Anyway, this is how it comes, and it's actually a pouch. Whether it's 3mm, 5mm, or 10mm, whatever. It comes like this, and it's attached at one end. Okay? So this 10mm, you can run through this laminator. I've done it many, many times. It doesn't 100% come out perfectly clear unless you run it through several times because of it being 10mm. This is only made for up to 5mm. I didn't want to invest in a really expensive one, so the trick is to run this through several times. Even the 5mm I'll run through probably twice. This, because it's 10, is a little bit, you don't have to go this route, but I'm just going to kind of give you an idea of what I'm using, what I'm doing and how I'm doing it. So this one I'll have to run through a couple of times. So I'm going to go ahead and start running this through, and then we'll go on to the next step. Oh, you do put the seam side in first. And the trick with this is you have to run it through immediately. Don't let it sit and cool. You want it to stay hot. This was 3 times. This is with the 10mm. So just so you can kind of see, it's not perfectly clear. So I'm going to run it through one more time. After running, this is my 3rd sheet through, it came out perfectly clear. So I think the machine just needs to get, well, there's one little spot right there that didn't get 100% right on the edge. You can't even really see it. But I think the machine just needs to get hot enough. Now mine will shut off after a while, so you got to get that right, leave it on long enough to where it gets hot, but then not so long that it shuts itself off. Okay, so I want to show you how I can get all of this that was formerly this amount of space into this one tiny 6x6 pocket. And this is 4 sets. So I'm still keeping all the sets together. I'm just not keeping their original containers. Okay? Alright. Okay, here's everything that you're going to need to do this. Okay, I've got my stamp sets. I've got my indexing sheet. This is the sheet that goes inside. This will go inside the pocket here. And it's 6x6. These Scraprack pages are great because they're a little bit bigger than 6x6. If you use another brand, you totally can. You're just going to have to cut this down just a little bit to give a little bit more room. Because the Scraprack pages, even though it's a 6x6, the actual pocket is more like 6 1/4 by 6 1/4. So it allows you to hold a true 6x6 sheet of paper or several sheets of paper. Okay. So here's your indexing sheet. I've got several sheets of laminating pockets that I have pre-laminated, so they're nice and sturdy. Okay. These are the 10mm size. You do not need 10mm. You can do 3, you can do 5. My favorite is 5. They're cheaper and they do the job just perfectly fine. The difference, this is a 5mm. you know, they're pretty sturdy. This one is a 10 mil, so you can really tell the difference. The 3 mil I don't like because they're really flimsy. They're fine for certain things, but I just prefer, this is for storage, this is going to be, you know, I'm going to use it in and, you know, it's going to be in and out of my rack all the time. I want to make sure it's going to hold up. So minimum 5 is what I would recommend. 10 is a little overkill, but I have a whole box of these that I bought for another purpose. So I have found a ton of uses for these 10 mil sheets, and they're awesome. So there's that, and I'll put some links down at the bottom of the laminating too. Okay, and then you need some ink, you need a block, you need a corner rounder. This is really important, a corner rounder. Scissors, you need a pen. I use black pen because I want everything to be nice and cohesive. And then I have a colored pen so that when I can see the location, it's easier to see. I want to spot it like really fast. You need a Sharpie, a black Sharpie, or whatever. I'm using a black Sharpie. And so far I think that's all that we need. So let's, and a guillotine cutter. Whatever cutter you feel comfortable cutting your laminating sheets on. Since I'm using the 10 mil, I wouldn't want to use my, my orange Fiskars cutter, because I don't want to mess up the wire, and I'm not sure if it would or not. So I'm using my Stampin' Up! Cutter. You could use any guillotine cutter. Okay, so since I said I'm using the Scraprack pages and not like Project Life or We Are Memory Keepers or anything, I believe those are exactly 6x6 pockets, since mine are 6 1/4 by 6 1/4. I could actually cut this 6x6. So you can make those adjustments according to whatever size pockets that you're using. All of my Stampin' Up! Stamps were done in these 6x6, and I was able to fit every set. Sometimes it took... I think there was one, Define Your Life, that was it was originally wood, and it was like 30 pieces, and it took a 6x12 pocket. But for the most part, I think that was the only set of all the sets that I had that did not fit into 6x6. And I'm talking multiple sets, not just one. Okay, so then what we're going to do is we're going to take our laminating sheet and we're going to cut it down. Now, since this is going to be 6x6, I don't want this to be quite as big, because I want it to slide in and out very easily. So I'm going to make it 5.5 by 5.5. Okay, and then very important, we're going to take the corner chomper on the corners. These will cut your pages if you're not careful, if you don't cut these off. So I think it's really important to do that. Alright, so there we go. We have a 5.5 by 5.5 square, all rounded corners, and that's what we're going to put our stamps on. Let's get rid of that. Okay. So, and because I've already unmounted these have... you know, you can watch those process videos on how to do that. You know, this is when they're already unmounted. So you're going to already have gone through all that process. So basically what I did was I gathered any sets that I could get together. It didn't matter what they were, what kind of, I didn't go by brand. I didn't do, when I first started, I was doing all my Stampin' Up! Stamps, so they happened to all be Stampin' Up! Mostly at first. But it doesn't matter. That's the whole point of this. Is easy to do. I try to keep all my sets together. I do actually keep all my sets together. So what I'm going to do is just grab whatever fits onto this sheet. So there's a little bit of trial and error when I was first starting to do it, or as I was going through the process. You know, I would look at a set and put it on here and go, oh, I need another tiny little set that'll fit on there. So it was a little bit of trial and error to try to, it's like a puzzle, putting a puzzle together. So basically all I'm going to do is I'm going to fill up this sheet with my stamp sets. Now, I'm not going to stamp them yet because I want to make sure that they're all going to fit on here first. Because if they don't fit, then I have to, you know, get rid of this set, put it off to the side, and pull another one and try it. So I'm going to go through and try to fit as many as I can on here. And it doesn't matter which way they go. You're just trying to fit them on here like a puzzle. And they can go all the way to the edge because made this a little bit smaller, so it'll fit in there nice and tight. Okay, so we're fitting them on here. Now, personally, I don't like the stickers on the back of my Stampin' Up! Stamps because I believe that makes them less clingy. So I originally had all the stickers on there, and then I was getting really frustrated with them popping off. So I just took all the stickers off. And like I said, it's a puzzle, so you may have to play around with it a little bit and move things around and tighten up the little bit of gaps that you have to fit these on here. But you get really good at this after a while. After doing, gosh, I can't even think how many stamp sets I've done. All my Stampin' Up! Stamps. See, not perfect. Now I got it in there. So that right there was all this down to this one thin storage sheet. Okay? Now, I know that they're all going to fit, so let's disregard that. And you have a little bit more room on this, so you don't have to be quite as picky about how you put them on here. So the way I do it is I try to kind of put them on here as I got them. It doesn't matter. Basically, you're just trying to index them. So I'm going to put as many as I can on here. I'm going to leave a little bit of room at the top so I can write the name of all the stamp sets. Now, one way you can do this, if you didn't want to stamp them, you could take the image sheet and copy it. They kind of are far apart. That's why I didn't like to do it that way. I'd rather just stamp them the one time, and then I'll photocopy this, put it in my catalog, which I have another video on that. Just so everything's more condensed together, because they kind of spread. I mean, look how much these are all spread apart, and they're tiny little stamps. So, but it's one way you can do it. You know, if you didn't want to put them quite so tight like I am, most of them aren't really this tight. I just wanted to see if I could fit, how many I could fit on there, and that is 4 stamp sets. So then what I'll do, I'll take my pen and then I'll write down everything that's on here. So this top one, let's see, it's a flower for all seasons. My sets. So now I know exactly what sets those are, how many's in here, and that way when I go to put them back, they're there. Now, when it comes to location, in my rack, they're all labeled because I did them 1 through, well, it's 1 through whatever. I'm up to, I don't even know what number. I'm over 100 and something pockets. But I started out at 1. So I've already pre-labeled all these. I pulled this one out so I could show you, demonstrate how I did it. So this one just happens to already be labeled S15. S is for stamps. So I'm going to take a colored pen now. Now if I'm going to copy this, obviously I wouldn't, it wouldn't be colored. So if you want it to be colored in your catalog, you know, copy it first and then use your pen, or you could color copy it if you want to, I suppose. So I'm going to put on here, this is S15. Then I know where in my scrap rack that I'm going to find these stamps. But this is another way to do it, just really super fast. Once you get the puzzle on here and you get all the stamps on here, just so quick and easy. Just ink up the whole thing with your ink. And keep in mind, they all need to be the same level. You can't have some cling stamps and then some clear stamps, because they'll be at different levels, obviously. It sounds like it's obvious, but, you know, I tend to find out these things the hard way when I go to do it, and some are so much shallower than the other, if you know what I'm saying. So then I got it all inked up. I just try to center the paper best I can, rub it on here. This would be the same way if you were going to ink up a background stamp, because, you know, those are hard to use an acrylic block with, so it's just easier to turn them upside down and do it. And I did do quite a few stamp sets this way. And boom, done. That whole set done in like a second. Now a couple of them are upside down, and if that doesn't bother you, then great. It's just that much faster. You can still see it, you can still read what it is. You know, unless you're just totally crazy and anal picky like I am. Okay, I wanted to show you too how I know where to put these back. I've taken a Sharpie and I've just marked on here the location. This is S15, so I want to put that on the actual plastic, so that if I take a couple of these off, or I've got several of these sheets on my desk, then I know where to put this back, and it's just easy, because this is going to stay in my scrap rack. I'm not going to take this whole sheet out when I want just one set of stamps. Okay, so I'm going to put Velcro on the little flaps, because I don't like the flap. I'll just, because this one won't be a problem, but this one up here, this one is, when I get to 10 or 12 or whatever in my scrap rack, this is they're all going to be flopping all out, and that really bothers me. So I get these little dots. They're the Velcro brand. I just get them at Michael's or Joann's. And I already have the one on here, so I'm just going to take the other side. And you don't want to do this before you've stamped everything, obviously, because this little Velcro dot's going to get in the way. So this is going to be the last thing that you're going to do. So I'm just going to put that on there, and then this is actually going to, the sticky, or the other side's going to actually stick on the imaging sheet itself. So now, see, it's actually on the imaging sheet. So you don't want to do that till you're all done. But now they'll be nice and neat and stuck in there. And so here you go. This whole sheet of 4 sets of stamps is going to slide just so nicely right behind this imaging sheet. And this is cardstock, by the way. I don't think I mentioned that. It's cardstock. In my catalog, I use copy paper, because I don't want it to take up too much. I don't want it to be too thick. But I want this to be nice and sturdy, so I'm going to use... And I just use basic cardstock that you can get from Walmart or anywhere. Just really inexpensive for this sort of thing. This was just mainly my Stampin' Up. I do all other types of stamps too. I have some other stamps here that I've got to put in my catalog, and they're going to use all different size pouches. That's the great thing. You don't have to just use these 6x6, but these work great for the Stampin' Up ones. A big majority of mine are 6x6 because I had a ton of Stampin' Up stamps, and I want to keep them. I'm not a demonstrator anymore, and I bought them because I wanted to keep them. And this one is the one I'm currently working on. There's hardly anything in here, but I just wanted you to see. I'll pre-do some of these pages. I have a whole sheet of 4x4, 4x6 is what these are, 4x6, and then they're all numbered. See, I'm up to 190 is where I'm at right now. Okay, so then I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to pre-cut all of my papers and put in here. I do it a little bit smaller. These are actually 4x6 because remember, these Scraprack pages are a little bit bigger than that. That's what's so great about it. You get a little bit more room in these. Here is another configuration of Scraprack pocket. These are 5x7s, so you can fit bigger stamp sets in these. I also use this particular pocket for my embossing folders because they'll fit 4x6 embossing folders great, and also the 5x7 ones perfectly. So all my embossing folders are in these. I do have a few border ones and a couple longer strip border ones, and I have the longer pockets for those. So you just pick a pocket that is going to work for what you need it to. See, like this. This is, I think they call this a Trader's 12. See, if I want to take the stamp set. Now, keep in mind that I use the laminating sheets to make a spot for those Stampin' Up! Sets. Now, they came in DVD cases or they come in the clamshell, so they didn't have any acrylic or plastic to put their stamps on. When you buy these sets, they already have the plastic on here. So, I mean, I'm not going to take this apart and put on my laminating sheets when this is perfectly good the way that it is. And it already has the images on here. It has the name on here, so you don't have to worry about, labeling it if you forget what it is. All I'm going to do is I'm going to take this off. I'm going to stamp all of these onto my imaging sheet, and see this little small little pocket, and I can just slide it right in here, right behind there. So all these Lawn Fawn small sets I can put in here. And it doesn't matter, like I say, it doesn't matter what kind they are. It could be any brand. If it fit in here, that's all that matters. It fits. How you're going to find them is by the catalog. So that's the key. Catalog is the key. You can store them in shoe boxes. You can store them however you want to store them. As long as the boxes are labeled, 1 through how many ever boxes that you have. It really doesn't matter. That's the most important thing I want to stress, is the catalog is the key. But you got to go at this baby steps. You got to go at this step by step. If you take 10 or 12 of these boxes, a day, and you just get them in the pockets, stamp them, get them on here. Even if you don't catalog them right away, as long as you can flip through this real easy, and you can find. It might take you a little bit, but I mean, think about how you have them stored now. Is it easy to find what you're looking for? You're still having to flip, even if they're in the Avery L things. If they're not cataloged, you're still going to have to flip. Some people put them in alphabetical. Some people put them by manufacturer. That helps. I don't know about you, but I'm not going to put them back alphabetical every single time. Even when I had my Stampin' Up! Stamps, I would put the S's together, but that's about as far as I would really get, not alphabetical. You think about the time that you're going to spend, and that's it. It takes a little bit of time to do this. You just have to do it the one time, and then it's so much easier. Life is just so much easier. And eventually, if you want to purge some things and you want to get rid of stuff, you take it out of the pouch, you sell it or give it away, whatever you want. Then you have these spaces open. When you buy new sets, you just slide them in here, do another imaging sheet, and then put it in your catalog, and then there you go. See, like I just bought several sets. I just got the new bird things. This is probably going to have to go on a 6x12. I'm going to put it on either a 4x12 or a 6x12. Now, all these companies have the great way that their stamps are stored. Like, he already has it on this imaging sheet for like a smaller binder. But I'm just not, I want all mine to be easy to get to, and I want them all in the same place. Even if I was going to put these in an Avery L pocket, I'd probably split this up and put it in 2 pockets, had I had this when I was doing my Avery L pockets. So, it's totally up to you how you do it. we're all individuals. We're all going to do them differently. This is just how I do it, and I had a lot of questions on the details on how I do it, so I just thought I would do a little video and explain it. And usually, another thing too, I don't do this every single time I walk in with one set of stamps. So I'll go, like I went the other day to Tuesday Morning, and I got a couple, and I got these at Hobby Lobby, and I ordered these. Let's see, I got these at my local scrapbooking store. So I'm going to put all these in a basket, and then when this basket's full, or if I have an afternoon, I'm going to do all of them at one time, because it's a lot easier to do it at once than to just do, go buy one set, come home, go through all the steps. I'm probably not going to do that. And also, it'll give you a chance to play around with the stamps too. So anyway, so that is basically the process of how I go about doing my stamp storage. And like I say, the cataloging is in a whole nother video, which I've already gone through that. So this was just a little bit more detail. So hopefully that helped you. And if you have any more questions, or you want to see anything else in detail, just let me know. I have no problem sharing. So, all right, y'all have a good day and happy organizing. Because I mean, look at how much waste there is. You've got there's nothing in that.